The exit nobody saw coming. Kodak Black did not just walk away from Capitol Records. He walked straight into one of the loudest industry conversations of his career. For fans, it looked like another rapper making a business move, but behind the scenes, the story felt bigger than a contract ending. It felt like a warning shot from an artist who believed he had already given the system enough time, enough hits, and enough chances to understand his value. When Kodak first entered the Capitol situation through Priority Records, the move sounded powerful. Reports around the industry painted it like a fresh start, a major partnership, and a new chapter built on money, trust, and history. Kodak was no stranger to label politics. He had already survived years of pressure, public criticism, legal problems, career setbacks, and still managed to keep his name alive in hip-hop. So when he made the jump, a lot of people thought this would be the deal that finally gave him room to move like a boss. But the dream did not last long. The moment Kodak announced he was moving independently, the conversation changed. Suddenly, people were asking what really happened. Was the label disappointed? Was Kodak unhappy? Did the business fall apart because the music underperformed, or because the relationship was broken before it ever had a real chance? Nobody outside the room knows the full truth, but the tension became impossible to ignore. Capitol reportedly expected big results. Kodak expected freedom, support, and respect. Somewhere between those expectations, the partnership started to crack. And once a rapper with Kodak's history feels like the system is holding him back, the exit is never quiet. Now fans are watching every move, because Kodak's independent run could either become a comeback story or a major test of how powerful he really is without a machine behind him. If you are watching from your city right now, comment where you are from. If you think Kodak made the right move, press 1. If you think leaving the label was risky, press 2. And make sure you subscribe, because this story is only getting deeper. Before Capitol, there was Atlantic. Before Kodak Black ever reached Capitol Records, his story was already tied to one of the most complicated artist-label relationships in modern rap. Atlantic Records helped put him in front of a bigger audience, but Kodak was never the type of artist who could be controlled like a normal industry product. He had raw talent, a unique voice, a loyal fan base, and a chaotic personal life that always made him unpredictable. For years, Kodak's music kept cutting through. Even when controversy surrounded him, fans still listened. Even when people counted him out, the streams kept coming. That gave Kodak leverage, at least in his own mind. He watched other rappers land massive deals, especially artists like NBA Youngboy, and he reportedly wanted to be treated like someone on that same level. To Kodak, it was simple. If the music was moving numbers and the fans were still locked in, then the money and control should match the value. But labels do not always see things the way artists do. Atlantic had its own calculations. A label looks at risk, public image, touring potential, rollout stability, and whether an artist can consistently deliver without problems. Kodak looked at his influence and felt he had earned more. That difference in perspective became the beginning of the split. According to the story surrounding his exit, Kodak wanted a stronger deal, but Atlantic was not willing to meet the number or the structure he wanted. So Kodak made a decision. He would finish what he owed and move on. That is where Capitol came in. The new deal sounded like a fresh start with familiar energy, especially because Orlando Wharton had history with Kodak. Wharton was not just another executive in a suit. He was connected to Kodak's early rise, which made the Capitol move feel personal. Fans believed this could be the perfect combination. A rapper with something to prove and an executive who already understood his world. But sometimes history does not protect business. Sometimes it makes the disappointment even sharper. The deal that sounded too big to fail. When people first heard about Kodak Black's move to Capitol and Priority, the rumored number instantly became part of the story. A major deal, a major artist, and a major label, all coming together sounded like the type of headline that could reshape his career. For Kodak supporters, it felt like validation. After years of being judged, doubted, and treated like a problem, he was still valuable enough for a giant company to bet big on him. That kind of deal comes with more than money. It comes with expectations. A label does not invest millions just because an artist has a famous name. They expect albums, singles, viral moments, consistent promotion, strong numbers, clean rollouts, and a return on investment. Kodak, on the other hand, likely saw the deal as proof that he had earned creative freedom. He was not a new artist begging for a chance. He was already Kodak Black. His voice, his pain, his Florida roots, and his unpredictable personality were the reasons fans cared in the first place. That is where the tension begins. A major label may want structure. Kodak may want space. A major label may want a polished rollout. Kodak may want to drop when the feeling is real. A major label may want interviews, marketing plans, and controlled public messaging. Kodak's brand has always been the opposite of controlled. He built his connection with fans by being raw, emotional, strange, funny, wounded, defiant, and sometimes impossible to predict. So even if the deal looked perfect from the outside, it may have carried problems from day one. The public saw a headline. The label saw an investment. Kodak saw a new chapter. But those three things are not always the same. And when the music business puts a price tag on an artist's future, every delay, every song, every public moment, and every missed expectation starts to feel heavier. By the time fans realized something was wrong, the partnership already seemed colder than expected. When the rollout lost momentum. In hip-hop, momentum is everything. A rapper can have talent, money, and a major label behind him. But if the rollout does not feel alive, fans move fast. Kodak Black entered the Capitol chapter with name recognition, but name recognition alone is not enough anymore. The internet demands constant energy. The audience wants drama, snippets, visuals, interviews, controversy, emotion, and a reason to stay invested every single week. That is where things reportedly started to feel shaky. The music came, but the impact did not feel as massive as people expected from a deal that big. Some fans still supported Kodak, but the overall conversation did not explode the way a label might have hoped. Instead of feeling like a new era, it felt like a confusing pause. Was Kodak being promoted correctly? Was the label pushing hard enough? Was Kodak fully locked in? Or was the partnership already losing trust behind the scenes? Those questions matter because perception can become reality in the music industry. If a label believes an artist is not producing the results they paid for, the energy can change quickly. Budgets get tighter. Rollouts become less exciting. Communication becomes colder. The artist starts feeling unsupported, and the label starts feeling frustrated. Once both sides feel misunderstood, the relationship turns into a quiet standoff. Kodak's fans have always seen him as someone who moves from emotion. If he feels disrespected, ignored, or underestimated, he will not hide it forever. That is part of why people follow him. He does not always speak like a trained public figure. He speaks like someone reacting in real time, and that makes every business move feel personal. So when the Capitol chapter failed to create the kind of unstoppable run people expected, the silence became louder than the music. The story was no longer just about numbers. It was about whether Kodak and the label ever shared the same vision in the first place. Capitol's side of the story. After Kodak Black's exit, the industry conversation became even more intense because people wanted to know how Capitol really felt. According to the story being discussed, the label side was not exactly celebrating the breakup. The message seemed clear. Capitol believed resources had been placed behind Kodak, and the results did not match the investment. That is a serious thing in the record business. Labels may speak in professional language, but the meaning is often cold. When a company says an artist did not meet expectations, it can damage perception. It can make people wonder if the artist is difficult to market, difficult to manage, or too risky for another major deal. Even if the full story is more complicated, the public only sees pieces. And in hip-hop, pieces are enough to start a storm. But Kodak's side is not hard to understand either. Artists often feel like labels promise the world at signing time, then slowly pull back when the first wave does not go perfectly. A rapper may believe the company did not push the music enough, did not understand the fan base, or tried to force a strategy that never matched the artist's identity. From that viewpoint, leaving is not failure, it is survival. That is what makes this situation so tense. Both sides can believe they are right. Capitol may feel like Kodak did not deliver the consistency they needed. Kodak may feel like Capitol did not provide the freedom and support he expected. The label may look at spreadsheets. Kodak may look at respect. The company may ask where the commercial return is. Kodak may ask why his art was not handled with more belief. And when money, pride, and reputation all collide, nobody walks away clean. This is why fans are paying attention. Kodak's exit is not just one artist leaving one label. It is a bigger example of what happens when a rapper's real-life chaos meets a corporate system built around control, profit, and timing. The Orlando Wharton connection. One of the most interesting parts of this story is the role of Orlando Wharton. To understand why Kodak's Capitol move mattered, you have to understand that this was not just a random executive relationship. Wharton had history with Kodak. He was connected to Kodak's early career and helped recognize his potential before the rest of the industry fully understood it. That kind of connection should have made the partnership stronger, When an artist works with someone who was there from the beginning, there is supposed to be trust. There is supposed to be understanding. The executive knows the artist's background, the pain behind the music, the fan base, and the reasons the artist cannot be handled like everyone else. For Kodak, that history may have made the Capitol priority situation feel safer than starting over with strangers. But trust in music is fragile. The moment business pressure enters the room, personal history can turn complicated. If the label expected Kodak to move a certain way, and Kodak did not, Wharton would have been caught in the middle of loyalty, business, and corporate expectation. If Kodak felt the label was not doing enough, the disappointment may have felt deeper because the people involved were not strangers. That is what makes the split feel heavier. It is one thing to leave a company that never understood you. It is another thing to leave a situation connected to someone who once believed in you early. Fans can sense that emotional weight, even if they do not know every detail. The public does not need to see every meeting to understand when something that was supposed to be powerful did not turn out that way. Kodak's journey has always been filled with people who either saw greatness in him or saw risk. Sometimes both at the same time. Orlando Wharton's connection represents that exact tension. Belief in Kodak's talent, but also the challenge of turning that talent into a stable business machine. And Kodak has never been easy to turn into a machine. Why going independent changes everything. Kodak Black becoming independent is not just a career update, it changes the entire pressure around him. When an artist leaves a major label, the freedom sounds exciting, but the responsibility becomes brutal. There is no big company to blame if the rollout is weak. There is no massive machine automatically pushing the music into every room. There is no corporate structure covering the gaps. Now Kodak has to prove that his name alone can still move the culture. Independence gives him control over timing, sound, visuals, partnerships, and the way he talks to fans. That could be perfect for someone like Kodak, because his best moments often feel unfiltered. He does not need to be packaged like a clean industry product. His audience connects with him because he feels real, even when real is messy. But independence also exposes weaknesses. A rapper needs a disciplined team, strong planning, clean distribution, smart marketing, and consistent communication. Talent is not enough. A loyal fan base is not enough. In today's music world, even independent artists need strategy. If Kodak drops randomly without building momentum, the music can disappear fast. If he creates the right plan, though, independence could make him more dangerous than before. That is the gamble. Kodak is betting on himself at a time when the industry is watching closely. If he wins, he proves the label was not the reason for his power. He proves his fan base is still strong, his voice still matters, and his future does not depend on a corporate office. But if the independent run struggles, critics will say Capitol saw the problem before everyone else did. That is why this next chapter matters so much. Kodak is no longer just competing with other rappers. He is competing against the narrative that the machine left him behind. And for an artist with his pride, that may be the biggest motivation of all. The fan base that never fully left. Through every controversy, every label shift, every public setback, and every confusing career turn, Kodak Black still has something many artists would do anything for, a fan base that refuses to completely let go. That loyalty is one of the biggest reasons this story matters. If Kodak had no real audience, leaving Capitol would be just another industry note. But Kodak's fans still care, still argue, still defend him, and still wait for the next song that reminds them why they believed in him. His supporters do not see him as just another rapper. They see someone who came from pain, survived pressure, made mistakes publicly, and still created music that felt honest. That emotional connection is hard for labels to measure. A spreadsheet can count streams, but it cannot fully explain why a fan hears Kodak's voice and feels like he is speaking from somewhere real. That is the part of his brand that still gives him power. But loyalty has limits. Fans can support an artist through hard times, but they still want music that hits. They still want focus. They still want to feel like the artist is fighting for the legacy they believe he deserves. If Kodak's independent chapter feels sharp, emotional, and hungry, the same fans who stood by him could help him build a new wave. But if the music feels scattered or the rollout feels careless, even loyal fans may lose energy. That is the balance Kodak has to master. He does not need to become someone else. In fact, trying to become too polished could damage what makes him special. But he does need to show growth. Not fake perfection, not corporate cleanliness. Real growth. The kind that says he understands the moment, understands the opportunity, and understands that freedom only matters if you know what to do with it. The fans are still there. The question is whether Kodak can turn that loyalty into momentum again. the bigger message behind the breakup. Kodak Black leaving Capitol Records is bigger than one contract. It is a reminder that the modern music industry is full of partnerships that look powerful from the outside but break down when expectations collide. A label wants structure, profit, predictability, and returns. An artist wants freedom, belief, respect, and control. When those goals align, careers can explode. When they do not, even a major deal can turn into a public disappointment. Kodak's situation shows how complicated it is to be a rapper with both influence and baggage. His name still means something. His music still reaches people. His story still creates conversation. But major labels do not only invest in talent, they invest in systems. They want artists who can deliver on schedule, promote cleanly, avoid unnecessary problems, and turn attention into revenue. Kodak's strength has always been his rawness, but that same rawness can make him difficult for a corporate machine to manage. That does not mean Kodak cannot win. It means the next step has to be smarter than the last one. He has to move like an independent artist with major label awareness. He has to protect his energy, choose the right songs, build the right team, and understand that every public move now feeds the story people are telling about him. If he gives fans music with focus, pain, hunger, and truth, the independent path could become the best decision he ever made. But if the chaos becomes louder than the music, the critics will use this exit as proof that the labels were right to hesitate. That is what makes this moment so important. Kodak Black is standing at a crossroads between freedom and pressure. Capitol may no longer be behind him, but the spotlight has not disappeared. The industry is watching, the fans are watching, and Kodak now has to answer the biggest question of his career without hiding behind any label. Was the machine holding him back, or was the real battle always within himself? The lesson every rapper should pay attention to. Kodak Black's departure from Capitol Records may eventually be remembered as far more than the end of a recording contract. Whether people see it as a bold business decision or a partnership that simply failed to meet expectations, one thing is clear: this chapter highlights how difficult it is to balance artistic freedom with the realities of the modern music industry. Throughout his career, Kodak has never fit the traditional mold of a major label artist. His appeal has always come from authenticity. Fans connected with him because he sounded different, lived differently, and never seemed interested in becoming a carefully polished celebrity. That authenticity built one of the most loyal fan bases in hip-hop. But it also meant every business relationship came with unique challenges. Looking back, there are lessons for everyone involved. For artists, a large contract can create incredible opportunities, but money alone does not guarantee success. The strongest partnerships happen when both sides share the same long-term vision. Creative freedom, marketing, strategy, release schedules, and communication all have to work together. If those pieces begin moving in different directions, even the biggest deal can slowly lose momentum. For record labels, Kodak's story is another reminder that every artist requires a different approach. Some musicians thrive inside structured systems. Others perform best when given room to create on their own terms. Finding the right balance between business discipline and artistic identity is often the difference between a successful partnership and one that quietly falls apart. Perhaps the biggest question now is not what happened between Kodak and Capitol, but what happens next. The independent route gives Kodak something many artists spend years chasing: complete ownership over his direction. He can decide when to release music, how to connect with fans, what collaborations to pursue, and what image he wants to present moving forward. That freedom comes with enormous responsibility, but it also removes many of the limitations that artists often describe when working within major label systems. The next few releases could define the next decade of his career. If Kodak delivers focused projects, builds a consistent strategy, and continues connecting with the audience that has supported him through every high and low, this chapter could eventually be viewed as the turning point that helped him regain complete control of his legacy. On the other hand, independence demands discipline, planning, and execution. Success will depend not only on talent but also on the team surrounding him and the decisions made outside the recording booth. No matter where people stand in this debate, there is one positive takeaway: healthy competition, personal growth, and professional evolution are what continue pushing hip-hop forward. Every artist faces setbacks, disagreements, and difficult decisions. What ultimately defines a career is not a single contract or a single headline, but the ability to learn, adapt, and keep creating meaningful music. Only time will reveal how this story ends. But one thing is certain: Kodak Black remains one of the most talked about figures in modern rap. and every move he makes will continue to attract attention from fans across the world. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more in-depth stories about the biggest names in hip-hop, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and share this video with another rap fan. We'd also love to hear your opinion in the comments. Do you think Kodak made the right decision by going independent, or should he have stayed with a major label? Comment 1 if you support his decision, or 2 if you think leaving Capitol was too risky. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.